Hey everybody. My first live, but I'm not going to be on here long. It's not that deep to really do an official live, but I just wanted to share some thoughts. And first off, hey, hi. Hope everybody's having a great day, evening, thus far, whatever, wherever. Pray all is well with everybody. Just want to come on, share my thoughts before I continue on with my day. Um, I was having lunch and was watching a posting from Sister Deborah Yah's channel, Redirecting. And actually, forgive me. Well, that is one channel that I was watching. But I wasn't quite going to speak on this particular circumstance, but actually I will now since I had mentioned it. But she had made a comment in regard to the different strange fruit that's going on, where there's still plenty of LYNCH ings going on in America. And she was highlighting one of the most recent cases that happened in Georgia. So yes, this definitely is not over. And legislation needs to be passed. This anti-LYNCH ing bill needs to go forward. It's terrible that in this day and age, something like that is still not passed. It's still having to be put on the table, and we're still talking about this. I literally was watching last night. In fact, I was watching on Tubi. I was watching a documentary, and it was called Father Divine. Apparently, in the 30s, there was a man that had so many followers, and like a million followers, and he eventually got too big for himself and started to refer to himself as God. But in the height of the Depression era, people were getting fed. He owned properties and the whole thing. And he was based out of both Philadelphia and New York. But you'd have to watch that on your own time. But it's very interesting because I believe this was from 2017, this documentary. But these people that were still alive, they still were following this man. And it also talked about how he was bringing about integration at a time when it was not popular to do. And it spoke about the different strange fruit, if you will, as Sister Deborah refers to, but the different LYNCH ings, and how he was fighting against. And again, this was in. So we're still talking about this very same issue. And time again, you hear the same rhetoric from these officials. I don't care what state it's in. It seems like it's all across the board. The same rhetoric goes on where they say, oh, we don't suspect any foul play, which is ridiculous. You know, they don't look any further into these details. And so the families are having to deal with something and never get resolution, like in the way that they should. So yes, in 2024, we are still talking about this very same issue. And that's another important thing that I want to talk about, how we need to hold these officials accountable. Trump can still run after everything going on, managed to run for president. We're sitting and keeping a blind eye to so much of what's going on. A friend of mine, just yesterday, we were chatting and digitally chatting, and we're talking about the Sharia law, how they're really trying to legislate that. We may be seeing that this year. And those of us who don't know what that is, it's the Sunday law, where they want to make requirement that the religious day is Sunday. So you can't be doing anything. And of course, I'm paraphrasing, but you have to look this up for yourself. Because those of us who know what the true Shabbat is, by way of it not being on a Sunday, they're really trying to push this on people so that it's going to be mandated that Sunday is going to be law religiously. Again, I'm paraphrasing. But this is what they're trying to push on the people. And a lot of times they're so subtle with this legislation pushing. They're so subtle with these things. You don't even realize that they're doing it right underneath your nose. And you have by the time you find out about it, typically it's already happening. Because the masses are so distracted and they keep up with the distraction. It's too late. So yes, this is very much going to be a thing. And this could very well be the precursor to the mark. Just yet another precursor to the mark of the beast. This is what they're trying to do. When I lived in Georgia for a period, some years back, Georgia was considered a dry state in that you couldn't even purchase alcohol on Sunday. You couldn't do any of that. I don't know if it's still that way, but this goes along those kind of lines. It starts out with one level of legislation on the state level or local level. Now it's trickling up. And when it gets to a federal level, it's going to be a mandatory thing across the board, no matter where you live. So these things are still going on. These things continue to go on, and we keep turning a blind eye to so much of these things. It's whatever the Most High ordains. Absolutely. we can also pray. We can intercede. And we can ask, Father, if there's anything that can be done. Just like Messiah did when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane. He said, if it can be, take this cup from me. Because he was a man. He was a man who, I'm sure, was frightened at what he was about to face. But in that very next sentence, he says, but not my will, Father, but it's yours be done. So that's how we should be praying. Yes, if we know you can do whatever you choose to do, Father. If it be your will, let it be done. If you can, take this cup. If, regardless, your will be done. So that's just one more thing that I wanted to talk about. And it's so important. How we do it, how we come together as believers that are trying to fight the good fight, so to speak. I don't know. This again is where we need to go to the Father and ask for discernment in these things. But faith without works is dead, as it says in James. So we can't just sit back and pray everything away. It's up to us to do our part. And we have free will. So we got to do what we have to do on our end too. He's not going to do everything for us. I also wanted to speak on another video I was watching recently. And as I get a chance, I'm going to, I was actually going to do a video on it, but I'm speaking on it now. I'll more than likely put it on my community tab so y'all can check it out. I'm not sure how I'm going to go about doing it, but I want y'all to see it for yourselves because this woman was powerful. But a YouTuber shared a woman, and I'm sure she's going viral by this point, but she was speaking council meeting in Chicago and got up and she mentioned the movie Scarface. You know, of course, everybody's like, okay, you know, where's she going with this kind of thing? And she starts off by saying, yeah, everybody knows about the movie Scarface. And, you know, there was some famous lines in the movie. But she goes on to say, but not many people paid attention to the very beginning of that movie. And as she said that, and she talked about the words that were first coming up on the screen in the movie, and it clicked, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, wow, she's getting ready to really break it down. And it reminded me of that part in the very beginning of the movie. And so she proceeds to read what that statement said at the very beginning of the movie Scarface. Of course, we're talking about the remake with Al Pacino. Okay. But she talks about how in 1980, Fidel Castro sent people, 3,000 people, that he allowed them to come to the U.S. to be with their families. And she read that whole statement from the beginning of that movie. And She literally is saying that is exactly what is taking place right now in cities like Chicago. And if we remember at the beginning of the movie Scarface, after those that statement left the screen and the movie actually started, where was he at? He was right there at like an intake area, if you will, as an immigrant just coming over from Cuba in Florida. And next thing you know, well, we already know, we know how the movie went. He starts blowing up as a drug kingpin. And she talks about how criminals are being released from the prisons in their countries to come to this country and wreaking havoc. So literally, once again, art is imitating life. Plain and simple. Art is imitating life. The exact same thing of how that movie was taking place at the very beginning. That's what's happening. So kudos to that woman. Her name was Jessica something or other. Jessica Jackson, I think it was. I'm not sure, but she was awesome, because I guarantee you nobody was expecting her to say what she said. But she went a little hard towards the end of that. She was going a little hard, but I understood where she was coming from. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot to have to deal with, and truth be told, we as so-called black people, we get the short end of the stick too in a lot of ways, because when the immigrants are coming from these other countries, they don't like black people. They don't. And if you look at some of these other videos that have been released prior, they're coming at so-called black people. Yeah. So we're getting it from all sides. They're coming here and they're treating us like second-class citizens. And our government is allowing them to be treated like first-class citizens. We still are waiting on reparations. They're getting the reparation money, truthfully, if you want to go that deep. But anyway, so again, these are the things that we need to talk about and understand that it's not just one particular political affiliation. They're all in collusion. So just because you're not going to vote Democrat, that don't mean anything. Like, it means nothing. They all are following the hidden hand. So stop thinking it's one party or the other. It just doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. So that's yet one more thing that needs to be talked about. We need to have real dialogue and come up with solutions, because all this talking and nothing is manifesting. That's going to allow these elites to do whatever they want, and they don't have the numbers. We have the numbers. So stop hiding behind your iPhones, your Alexas, your Siris, whatever. Come out of that mess and realize that we need to wake up for real, because your freedoms are being taken right from underneath you, and you don't even realize it. You really truly don't. Okay, lastly, I'm going to talk about this. I usually try to bring it back to the word, and because I'm more or less concerned about, not more or less, excuse me, I'm concerned about people, where they're going to spend eternity. That's my concern, because that's what I'm here. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm serving the Elohim that I serve, the God I serve, because I'm not here for self. I'm here to bring others to the knowledge of the truth in the way that I'm in the truth. That's what being a believer of the way is about. So when I come on here, it's not all going to be about fluff and all that. It's not about that. I'm going to bring it home as much as possible to what the word says, because that's what matters. Whatever Cat Williams and whoever else, Shay, and I don't even know why a man got to be called Shay. Anyway, whatever these folks are out there doing, it's just another bit of distraction, because they're part of those agendas. Whether you want to believe it or not, they're still part of the overall problem. They're trying to distract too. They all ain't that woke at all. Don't get it twisted. So I'm having lunch earlier. I come across another video that is Marvin Winans, and I don't know how recent it is, but it looks like he's talking to maybe his congregation, and he's talking about his brother Ronald, and I'm thinking this is the brother that has passed away, that was in the Winans, the group, the Winans. I'm believing that could have been him. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I just know the brother is Ronald. But he's talking about how his brother was bringing songs to the group for them to do. And from what Marvin he was assuming his brother was writing these songs. And like one of the songs was an Elton John song. And so Elton John literally sent them like a cease and desist, because they recorded the song. And then so he talked about that, and I guess they must have tried to get all the clearances for that song, and they didn't. And so I guess Elton John did the cease and desist thing. But why would you even want to record a song that Elton John had done, and you know his lifestyle? And then he talked about how people were they were giving their life to Messiah behind these songs, right? So he also mentioned another song, Peter Cetera, Glory of Love, because when he started saying some of the lyrics, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's that song. And then he did mention the names of the songs. So his brother did it again. After that, he did it again. So you're still bringing songs, even though you know you didn't write them, And it didn't sound like, I mean, he didn't say that his brother confessed about it or any of that. Like, the impression he was giving was that his brother made it seem like he had written these songs. So correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, this is the impression I was getting, because he didn't say otherwise. So his brother is bringing these secular songs to the group, and people are so-called getting salvation from these secular songs. Literally, again, someone in an alternate lifestyle, like you're singing a secular song that was flipped up from somebody in a alternative lifestyle. But you can't even make your own songs? Really? So he's talking about this, and I'm just like, well, and if this is the brother that ended up, I believe he had died of a heart attack. If this is the brother, I wouldn't really be surprised then. That would be the Most High Yahuwah's judgment coming down, or that had came down, if that was the case. But in hearing this, I'm like, I can't even believe this. Like, all these years, we're listening to these songs, and we're, you know, some of them, we're really like, they're anointed, you know? We're believing that a lot of these songs are anointed, and many of them are, don't get me wrong. But when you hear a well-known artist like that speaking something like that, it's disheartening. Because I know me personally, I'm like, I don't even want to listen to y'all now. Like, I'm so done. Like, I don't even want to listen to circa 1984 whinings. I don't want to even listen to none of it. None of these mainstream gospel singers anymore. Because if something like that can go down, how are we even supposed to, like, we really got to even pray and ask for discernment with music, something that's supposed to be edifying to the body of believers. It's terrible. And there's so many that want to come against Christian rap, so to speak, Christian rap. They want to come against that, but it's much of that is more anointed. I mean, it's literally more anointed than the music that we've grown up with. And so when I heard all that, I'm like, this is just more confirmation for me. Like, I don't even want to mess with none of y'all. That's why I'm so thankful that I found more music that is edifying for what I'm believing in. More of the awakened Israelite people. More from those folks that may not have millions of followers, but their music is edifying. They're edifying to the body. Like the group Sounds of Sinai. And you have, I've mentioned her before, Aviyah. There's so many now. I have my playlist is deep because I'm keeping it going. Like Fred and the Genius Ahaya. Fred, his wife does poetry on some of his songs, His children have been involved with his music. So it's a whole family based uh, edification of music, and he's a humble brother. There's so many. Of course, I've mentioned from the very beginning. The first artist I think I've even came across was Eshawn Burgundy and his wife Zara Royalty. But there's so many. So I have male and female rap artists. I have just regular singers. It's so I have groups now. So the Most High truly will give you everything back. You don't have to follow. And I have a video that I did not too long ago talking about that you don't have to continue listening to secular music. You really don't. We have what we're thinking is good secular music is really not. It's not. Excuse me, because the brothers are flying in here. But it's really not. And I'd rather have that music on my mind. I'd rather dwell on music that is going to edify the Father than glorify any man. Hallelujah. Praise you, Father, on that one. But again, there's so many, and I just highly encourage you to seek it out. Use your YouTube music. It does come in handy. Or if you're on Spotify, Pandora, they'll give you suggestions of music. You just vet it out. Because a lot of times they'll try to throw that secular mess up in there too. Just vet it out and you will get the music that is truly edifying. I'm a witness. So, again, I said all that to say at the end, my last little bit of spiel here with the music thing is we have to be mindful who we're following. We have to be mindful because we don't know how much they've sold out. We don't. Again, we have to use discernment. And he's literally telling you, he was literally telling me as I'm watching this that it's okay, and thank Yah, when I was reading people's comments, I'm like, exactly, you don't have to even use secular music. Like, why y'all always have to take them shortcuts when the Father will use his ruach, his spirit, and give you the words, give you all of that. He'll give it to you. I've been writing praise and worship music a lot recently because he's giving it to me. This is what I've done that in the past. I've been a poet. I've written poetry and things like that. But it's coming. It's coming back. He'll restore so much to us. And again, I don't have the scripture in front of me at the moment, but it talks about how will be restored, whatever the canker worm has, the moths have taken from us. It's basically whatever we lost when we were in the world, whatever we had lost, and that's a good thing that we've lost it. Those years, like the scripture talks about the years that the moths and the canker worm. So we'll be restored. And again, forgive me if I don't have the words correct, but we will be restored. We'll be regenerated. That's the point that I'm trying to make. The restoration will come. We have to pray for it, though. We got to ask him. Yes, he knows. He knows. He's just waiting for us to ask. That's it, y'all. I just, again, wanted to come on and share some things with y'all that I came across, and just spend this time and talk about some things, because I can't always get online and make videos and things of that nature. Sometimes you just need to come on and speak what's on your heart and what's on your mind, especially in these last days, because we don't know at any given time when the switch can be flipped. Just what, earlier in the week? No, excuse me, late last week, in fact, the outage went on. That affected me. I couldn't make calls or anything. And thank y'all it didn't last. But again, whenever these things take place, to me, that's like, okay, this is the little dress rehearsal. So when's the actual performance? When's it really going to happen? Because all these are the little rehearsals. That's what I consider them. At any rate, I've bent your ear long enough. Thank you for letting me share. I pray y'all listen to it in its entirety, because some of y'all attention spans are just like super limited, and y'all need to really hear what's being said. Y'all need to get out of that. Seriously. Hear what's being said, because you could be really missing a word that was for you. I'm not even just talking about me sharing. I'm talking about across the board. But open your mind. Open that attention span. Unapologetic Truth channel. Be blessed, y'all. Till the next one, y'all willing. Excuse me, I'm trying to log out of this.